Hello, welcome to Matters of Decorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. I don't wear these in my videos very much. I don't like the reflections that I get off of them from my light source, my window. Just makes it easier in general. I don't need to look at anything while I'm doing these, really. Episode 100. Time for a little reflection. Speaking of reflections and images and optics and whatnot, some folks have mentioned to me that they've seen some black spots in the videos, probably stuff from my camera. In fact, if I just make it all white, you can actually see some of those black spots there hanging out. So I will now do this and demonstrate that yeah, those black spots are still in fact there. They're not on the camera, they're in the camera. Perhaps someone should not have shined a very powerful laser pointer directly into the very expensive webcam. I need a new webcam. The spots are going to be there for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. I'll replace this thing when I can. It's a really nice one, though. First episode of Matters of Decorum was released February 23rd, 2015. Lightsaber nunchucks. I still feel very passionately about the validity of lightsaber nunchucks, and a fairly recent video that made the rounds on the internet of Bruce Lee and some wonderful After Effects work with one of his scenes from Chinese Connection. It looked pretty much as awesome as I figured it would. I started making these videos because I got annoyed at the general level of negativity that I kept seeing on the web. The lightsaber nunchuck thing, someone had talked about, oh, look, here's a video of someone who is using two knives as a pair of nunchucks fairly successfully. That means you could never use knives as nunchucks. And people apparently having a greater ability to simply go negative about a subject than do a little research, for God's sake. And other things got talked about. I write role-playing games, and got vaguely internet famous for a few minutes by being part of a documentary called The Dungeon Masters. And so talking about my experiences with Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games, my ideas about writing them and how hard it is sometimes. I try to stay away from social issues for the most part, but every so often I dip a finger in and get demonetized. And that was the first year, basically. February through December of 2015 was fairly mild. And then 2015, I got diagnosed with cancer, and the channel changed. The content changed. These changed. It was nice to have some place to talk about what I was going through. It was weird and frightening and important to maintain a certain degree of hope. And this helped. Having some place to talk about it, have some place to let it out and work through the stuff myself. I talk to myself more than I probably should. Now, I used to think it was an unhealthy habit, but lots of people have some way of verbalizing their inner monologue so they can bounce it off of at least their own ears. I am fortunate enough to be able to have my little delusional rants here in front of the camera for you folks to watch. Hi, and thank you. And around that time, I started interspersing this stuff with some Let's Plays. I'm not doing the Let's Play videos anymore, mostly because I can do these on a regular basis, and the Let's Plays were never all that popular. 2 or 3 followers, most of whom were complaining about my microphone quality, and yeah. And I don't play that many games anymore. I'm too busy trying to write them. And somehow, me meandering through this stuff at roughly the rate of a video a week, except for those times when I just couldn't. Third degree sunburn down the throat, that'll happen. I've managed to do 100 of these. YouTube is a different landscape now than it was. I've got about 3 weeks before my videos are demonetized, all of them. I don't have enough subscribers. I don't have enough viewing hours over the past year. And it's not like they were exactly monetized to begin with. I've got some money sitting in AdSense. Until it's $100, I don't see any of it, and it's not $100. My first videos at all on YouTube were the Uncle Drac stuff and the stuff around the Uncle Drac stuff. Who is Mikey and why I owe Jeff and Mandy a new lawn chair. That's 10 years ago. I've been putting stuff up for 10 years. It didn't get serious really until last year. Well, 2015, 3 years ago. And, but yeah, I have just never quite gotten the following or the subscribership. And it's okay. I mean, it's not like I'm going to stop doing these. I have a Patreon page. You may have heard of it. If you're one of my Patreons, thank you. Oh my God, you're making this actually workable for me. And if you're not one of my Patreons, I invite you to hit me up on my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DeCorum and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows me to make better videos more often. I'm going to do that at the end of the video because it's kind of a reflex now, but I memorize little bits and pieces of my inner script, and that's kind of stuck in there. It's been an interesting 3 years. It has not been the 3 years I expected it was going to be. It has not been, not a minute of it has been as I expected it, and that's okay. A couple of years ago, I didn't expect I was still going to be here at this point. That's an interesting place to be coming from. I get to enjoy every day as a gift now. There are a lot of subjects I'm just not going to really touch. If you really want to know my opinion about politics, particularly modern politics, or religion, you can feel free to tag me at any point and Facebook, or leave me some contact information in the comments, and feel free to ask. I'm going to be at Gallifrey 1 in whichever hotel it's in Los Angeles. I think it's going to be the Hilton over President's Day weekend. You track me down and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll talk about whatever you want to. I'm not necessarily going to talk about it here. I have, thanks to the Dungeon Masters, I have a lot of followers on all parts of the political spectrum, from far right, far left, and I do not agree with everything I see. I have some fairly strong opinions about things, and no one wants to hear that. I don't think anyone wants to hear that, and certainly not here, because the last thing I really want to do is voice an opinion that is going to aggravate half my audience. I am trying to get out of a echo chamber. It's very simple for me to go to people who are very like-minded with me and voice an opinion that I agree with, and with around people who are generally going to agree with me, which makes me feel good and gives me an endorphin rush, and I get to engage in a little hope or a little anger, and which doesn't serve to inform me or anyone else. No, I need to hear things I don't agree with. That's me. That's my choice. I choose to step outside of my echo chamber and listen to things that I don't enjoy hearing and to look into the truth behind what people are saying. It's an uncomfortable exercise. I'm not here to make anyone uncomfortable. Quite the opposite. I'm trying to make people more comfortable with certain things. I want to address subjects here that are high and flighty and philosophical and that don't necessarily impede on current politics or religion or that much philosophy. I like talking about personhood and the benefits and risks of upcoming technologies, and I'll leave the deeper debates for other times and places. I'll talk about role-playing games. I really enjoy talking about role-playing games. I've been taking a break from running them for a while now. I kind of burned a little bit. I was running 2, 3 games over the course of a week, and it was getting a bit much. I ran that Dungeons and Dragons game in Manhattan Beach that was over a year, maybe a year and a half. Took a party from 1 to 20, and that was awesome. That was amazing. I designed that whole campaign while I was on fentanyl and not right in the head. And it worked out really, really well, which is a terrible thing because I can't do fentanyl anymore at all. And I'm trying to write stuff straight, and it's harder than it used to be. I ran some anything in the victory system, Dungeons Dragons 5th Ed, running a bunch of stuff, and I just kind of got to a point where I was done emptying out my head and I need to put stuff in. I'm playing in some campaigns now. Vic is running Resident Evil in D6. That's fun. I like the D6 system. I like a lot of the variations on D6. It's really fast and effective. And especially if you like counting little dots on cubes, that's a really, really good system for doing that. Next only to Champions or the Hero system. Or Shadowrun, for God's sake. My friend Wayne is running a Fallout 4 based game using the victory system. I still need to write up some material to go with that. When that game isn't running on Wednesday nights, my friend Josh is running a Dragonstar game, also in the victory system. I've talked about that one, where I'm playing the magic using version of Gelt the Assassin. I'm playing and stuff and taking a break from game mastering, and I probably need to get back to it. I'm a better producer of material when I have a game running in the background or in my head, and it's probably time to get back to that. It's going to be an interesting ride from here. There are dozens of things I want to be doing. And the problem is that I've got a little bit of an inroads on being able to do dozens of different things, but I only have one me and one computer, well, not counting the laptop and some of the stuff around. I've got one workstation, this beast right here. And there's only so much that I can actually get out my hands at any point in time. So I've got 6 books, and I can only write one at a time, or maybe 2 or 3. I put them up next to each other, and where I have material that crosses over, I just copy. I would like to make some cooking videos featuring Uncle Drac. You know, go back to the Cooking with Uncle Drac format and build on that a little bit. Maybe some more character stuff and some sword fights and some kung fu and fighting puppets. At the same time, I've got a bunch of stuff I have been commissioned to do that I still need to get to. I've got weekly requirements of artwork I need to get out. And I'm not doing super well. I'm recovering. I'm still in remission. Thank you. I am doing pretty well health-wise, more or less. Had the flu a couple of weeks back while I was on a road trip. That was awful. Um, but I was on a road trip with Devin, thank God, because she took care of me and got me back safe. Maybe useless for the stuff that I was there to do, but it could have been worse. I get dizzy when I stand up. And it's one of those things where I talked to my oncologist about it, and the response to, well, I stand up and I get dizzy for a few minutes. Just letting you know, I got to talk to my main doctor about that. And my oncologist response was, oh, yeah, sorry, that's a known side effect of Silpat, which is one of the more devastating drugs they use during the chemo. The blood vessels in the legs have nerve clusters along them that sense the change in blood pressure when you stand up, or when there's a major change in blood pressure as a result of posture or changing your orientation, that allows your body to compensate for that. And I don't have those anymore. And eventually they might come back, maybe, sort of, kind of, probably not, but could. So this whole getting dizzy when I stand up thing is just a thing. My back is continuing to degenerate. Every time I think I'd like to do some kung fu stuff with Uncle Drac, I go practice with a sword for a few minutes, and am reminded by the week that I need to spend not moving and moaning in pain, that that's going to be a bigger undertaking than I think. Without a huge amount of coffee, I can't focus. Coffee, caffeine. Yeah, I will occasionally drink a Monster Zero or two to break it up a little bit. Monster Zero because no sugar, no calories, just go juice. And unfortunately, I've got to talk to a nephrologist this week about the fact that my kidneys are trying to break down. Which is most likely also a result of the chemo. We knew there were going to be problems, but I might have to cut back on the things that actually make it possible for me to function. Life is interesting. Life is interesting. My brain is broken, and I've got way too much stuff to do. You're going to hear about it all here. Because there's one thing I can't do. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I'm having a problem doing, and there's a bunch of stuff that is more difficult than it has ever been before, and there's just one thing I absolutely can't do, and that is quit. I am not stopping. If anything, I'm going to take up a little more stuff and push myself a little bit harder, because at this point, quitting just isn't like me. I've gotten past some very difficult things in my life, and I have people around me who support me and who love me and who appreciate me. For some reason, I will never figure it out, but they will tell me at some point, I'm sure. And while I was recovering, in the heart of my recovery, I needed a phrase, a motto to keep myself going. And it took some effort with Google Translator and a couple of other things, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. But the phrase that I have to carry me at this point is semper et dienclis, or always forward. I could spend a lot of time dwelling on what I've been through. Okay, granted, that's kind of what this video is. But it's also looking towards what I need to be doing. I can't get bogged down in the past. I'm stuck here in the present, like the rest of us. And I could be very Luke Skywalker about the whole thing and be focused entirely on where I would like to be, but am not. And a little bit of that time is necessary, focusing on a spot that where I've achieved something and working my way backwards to where I'm at so I know how to get there. But from this spot, rooted in the present as I am, semper et Diancles, I can only move forward. We're all in a time machine, you know. We are in a time machine that travels forward at the rate of 1 second every 1 second. No matter what I want to do, tomorrow it's going to be the next day. I've had a lot of interesting next days so far. In the past 3 years, while you folks have been following me, I've had a lot. I've had more next days than I thought I was going to. But just because I've gotten past one challenge, it doesn't mean that I can stop. I'm gonna rest a little bit. I like a nice road trip now and then. The one a couple weeks ago was business. But there are places I like to go, take my head off for a little while, take a deep breath, move back on. Solvang, California. If you don't know anything about Solvang, you should search that. It's an amazing place. And I've been going there since before I can actually remember. The first time I remember going there, I was about 4 years old. My family's been going up there for a long time. And my family goes up there still. Took a road trip to Williams, Arizona with the family last year to give our new Subaru Forester a proper test drive. And I like Williams. If you like the Grand Canyon or sightseeing or old Americana or steak, you should go to Williams, Arizona, even just for a day or so. Also, striking distance within a day's drive of both the Petrified Forest and the Arizona Meteor Crater. Unbeatable. Wonderful place to take a family trip. In the past 8 years, I've written 200 role-playing products, over 200 role-playing products. Underneath the videos is a link to my catalog at RPG Now. And if you're interested in role-playing products, I'd have a look. I've explored a lot of stuff there, and I'm not done yet. I'm not even a little bit done yet. There are products and ideas that I haven't had yet that are going to have to go there, and things I'm trying to work out of my head now that are going to be going there. There's been 100 of these now. I'm not stopping. I'm not even a little bit done with these. I like to be able to put them out weekly, properly. It's going to be a trip. I need to get better at stuff. I just need to get better at stuff. I need to fix stuff in my head, and I need to get stuff out and make stuff work. I appreciate you folks being along for this. Even if this is the first one that you have checked on or seen, thank you, welcome. I invite you to look at some of the other videos I've done if they strike your fancy. I don't have any one person in mind when I do these. I have a lot of friends. I'm a very blessed man. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your concern. I've seen an awful lot of that, and your support. It all means a lot to me. I don't care that these are being demonetized. It's not what they were for. It's not what they've done. These are so that I've got a place to have a voice and a smile and tell people that I'm okay and talk about what I'm doing. Talk about things that interest me. Talk about the things that matter to me. Role-playing games and lightsaber nunchucks. What it means to be a person, and when everything tells you that you might not be here tomorrow. How do you take that next step? Semper et Diencles. Thank you for being here on these, my 100th set of rambling statements. I'm looking forward to the next one. Maybe for issue 200, fireworks, I'm thinking. I like fireworks. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you would like to see these videos as soon as they come out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the little notification bell so you actually get notified when my videos come out. If you have a memory that you want to share, or questions or comments or things you'd like me to talk about, or your own ways of moving forward, just one foot after the other, day after day, leave it in the comments. I will love getting a comment. You will love leaving me one. If, as I said before, you would like to help out with these a little bit, I invite you to hit me up at my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/ScottCorum and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, back to more specific things next time, I suppose. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is, for the 100th time, What Matters to Me, and I will see you next time, the next Matters of DeCorum.